Hey, my sixth graders. Our next chapter is chapter 5, coming from you poolside, my backyard. Last time we read, Odysseus showed up at Phaeacia, the country of Phaeacia. And so he ended up getting some clothes, meeting the princess, and went to go meet the king, Alcinous. And they were kind of really welcoming him in, making him feel comfortable. They found out that he was Odysseus, and once they found out that he was Odysseus, they're like, "Oh, please tell us your story, tell us your story." And so that's where we left off. And so now we're going to start hearing the story of Odysseus's 10-year-long journey to try to get back home after the Trojan War. Now this chapter is called Odysseus Begins His Tale. Now I'm going to show you the name of I looked up this name quite a few times, and this name has been pronounced different ways through different pronunciation guides, but I'm going to choose the one that I found most often, which was the Cacones. And so you might hear it pronounced another way someplace else, but like I said, through my research, it's been pronounced 2 different ways, but I'm going to go with the Cacones. When I first set off from Troy after the war, the wind first took me to Ismarus, home of the Cacones. During the war, these people were on the side of the Trojans, our enemies. So many men and I decided to take over the seaside city. We destroyed much of it and gathered many of its treasures. At that point, I wanted to leave, but my men were foolish and greedy. They wanted to stay longer and take even more. We didn't know that the Cacones had sent a message to their brothers who lived further inland. There were many more of them. They were organized and skilled warriors who surprised us with a counterattack. Although we fought bravely, they were able to defeat us. They killed many of my men and drove us away from their land. When we finally got back to our ships to sail away, each crew was missing 6 men. The Lotus Eaters. One day at sea, a great storm came down upon our ship. My men and I were driven off course. Our ship landed on a beautiful tropical island where people lived by eating lotus flowers, Odysseus said. Some of my men went ashore and sampled the flower. It was said to taste like the most delicate honey, like the nectars the gods drank. It was so delicious that they wandered off and forgot all about home. As if under a magical spell, they wanted to stay on this island forever, munching lazily on the lotus flowers. Oh, how frustrated I was with them. After all, we were on a journey, and we had not reached the end. How they wept when I forced them back to our ship. But I closed my ears and heart to their protest. I was determined to return to my home. The King of the Cyclops. Sailing through the dark and foggy night, we spotted a coastline, Odysseus said. Once we were anchored, we realized the land as the home of the Cyclops. These are giant, wild creatures who only have one eye in the middle of their heads. They have no laws and are quite savage. They live in caves. We have heard that these creatures did not own ships or know how to sail. We felt safe a good distance off their shore. The next morning, we decided to explore the island. We wanted to see what the Cyclops were like. At what other time would we have the chance? Just to be safe, we bought a jug of water mixed with a magic sleeping potion. We thought this might help us out of any problem. When we got to the island, we found a large cave where many sheep and goats were being kept. We figured it must be the home of a Cyclops. In the cave were shelves full of delicious cheeses and crates full of milk. My men and I were hungry and curious. We decided to explore the cave, but quickly. But then the Cyclops returned from gathering his sheep. He was enormous and awful. My men and I were frightened for our lives. We hid at the far end of the cave in the darkness. The Cyclops couldn't see us there. He called the rest of his sheep inside and then rolled a boulder over the mouth of the cave. We were trapped inside with the great beast. There's a picture of our Cyclops. So the Cyclops has returned home. He brought his sheep into the cave and he's rolled this big boulder over the front entrance, and they can't get out now. They're stuck in the cave with the Cyclops. The boulder was so large that even 24 horse-drawn wagons could not have removed it. We fear for our lives. Then the Cyclops turned around and saw us. He asked, "Strangers, who are you? Where did you sail from?" We told him we had been driven off course by the weather. We asked kindly for his friendship, but without another word, the monster picked up 2 of my men and ate them, and then he went to sleep. As you might imagine, Odysseus continued, I was beyond angry. I wanted to kill the Cyclops right there in his sleep to get revenge. But I knew we could not move that boulder from the entrance without help. We waited until morning, and I tried to remain calm. I paced around the cave all night, trying to calm myself. Morning came, the monster woke, lit his fire, and then ate 2 more of my men for breakfast. Then he rolled away the boulder to let his sheep out. Before my men and I could escape, he rolled the boulder back into place. "What did you do then?" asked King Alcinous. He was sitting on the edge of his chair in suspense. "Well, I came up with a plan," Odysseus replied. "I found a large branch near one of the sheep pens. I ordered my men to work together to sharpen and burn one end. Then we hid our spear and waited for the monster's return. That night, the Cyclops came back to the cave. Again, he rolled the boulder back into place behind him. After he milked his sheep, he ate 2 more of my men for supper. I was enraged, but I kept calm. I brought the beast a bowl of the water mixed with the sleeping potion. 'Look here,' I said. 'We brought you this special drink as a gift. Will you please take it and stop eating my men?' The greedy monster drank. He was so delighted with our gift that he asked for another bowlful, and then another. 'Tell me your name,' the Cyclops said. 'You can trust me. I want to give you a gift too.' I could see that the potion had made the monster weak and weary, said Odysseus, but I still didn't trust him. So I told him my name was Norman. The Cyclops laughed. 'Then I will eat all of Norman's friends and keep Norman for dessert,' the monster roared. 'That is the gift you will give him?' With that, the monster fell to the ground and began snoring. 'Now!' I cried. The men grabbed the spear from its hiding place. We heated it in the fire until it was glowing hot. Then we drove it into the beast's one terrible eye, blinding him. The beast's screams echoed through the cave. He ran around in a frenzy, calling out to the other Cyclops on the island for help. 'Polyphemus!' they called, for that was the beast's name. 'Are you all right? Why are you shouting? Surely no man is trying to kill you by trickery or force.' 'Yes!' the Cyclops shouted back. 'No man is killing me by trickery. No man is killing me by force.' But his friends thought no man was attacking the Cyclops. They went back home, and the beast collapsed to the ground. Exhausted from our battle, he fell asleep. Now I have to pause for a second because I believe a few minutes ago when I read this, I told you that his name was Norman. It was not Norman. It was No Man. No Man. That was my mistake. So when his friends were saying, "No man is killing you," then he was replying back, "Yes, no man is killing me." So I apologize for that little bit of confusion. Hopefully you understand where I messed up. They went back home, and the beast collapsed to the ground. Exhausted from our battle, he fell asleep. Still, we were trapped in the cave. I had to figure a way to get us out. The next morning, the Cyclops moved the boulder to let his sheep out. It took him much longer now that he was blind. I saw the monster put his hands out, feeling the fur of every sheep as they went through the cave's entrance. He wanted to make sure they were animals, not us men. This action sparked my mind. At that moment, I came up with a plan. My men and I tied ourselves to the fluffy bellies of the biggest sheep. It was tough to ride on the underside of the animals, but it worked. When we arrived at the door of the cave, all the Cyclops could feel was fluff and fur. We had escaped. Well, almost, Odysseus added, embarrassed. We had sailed a safe distance away. I was still so angry at the Cyclops for eating some of my finest men. I stood up and shouted back towards the land. I told him he got what he deserved. The Cyclops became furious. He tore the top off of a mountain and flung it at my ship. The sea rose so much that the wave carried us back to the shore. We rowed for our lives and escaped again. But I wasn't finished. My men begged me not to speak another word, but my anger got the best of me, and I shouted out again, Cyclops, if anyone asks you who blinded you, it was not no man. It was this man, the brave warrior Odysseus from Ithaca. This, Odysseus finished sadly, was a mistake. You see, the Cyclops' father is Poseidon, sea of the gods. The gods can hear everything, so he immediately knew it was I who blinded his son. And since that day, I have been cursed. Poseidon does not want me to live for what I have done to his son. He has caused me great suffering. So now we find out why Poseidon is so angry at him. Come to find out that the Cyclops was Poseidon's son, and he blinded him, and so Poseidon is holding a grudge. We learned that he did stop on an island and kind of met up with some people called the Lotus Eaters. It didn't really go too much in depth about the Lotus Eaters, but it did kind of cast a spell on them, and the people didn't want to leave. Pretty exciting chapter. We've got some of the men being eaten by the Cyclops. We've got the Cyclops being blinded, and so this adventure is pretty exciting, and we're going to find out what happens next in chapter 6, as it's called Odysseus Continues His Tale. All right, I will see you soon. Have a great rest of your day.